And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Brewer versus Oldham, step forward, please.
38-year-old woodworker Karen Brewer is suing 28-year-old grocery manager Johnny Oldham for reward money that was promised for finding his toy poodle.
Miss Brewer, according to your complaint, you found a dog. It turned out to be the defendant's dog. The dog was returned to the defendant, and you believe that there had been a reward for the dog, $500, I believe. You want the reward money.
Yes, ma'am.
When did you find this dog?
My daughter and I was coming back from a Little Rock, and we found it on June the 24th. It was running, dodging cars across the interstate, and we saw it, and we stopped, and we picked it up, and we had called the number that was on the tag, which was his phone number and the veterinarian's number. Was unable to reach anybody, so the following day...
What day of the week was the 24th of June?
It was on Sunday.
Okay, go ahead.
On the 25th, I had called the vet and reported it, that I found the dog and where, and left my name and phone number with them.
Did you speak to a person or an answering machine?
I spoke to the person.
Okay.
Later Monday night, the dog was having seizures. So I called the vet the following next day to see if they were able to locate him, and they still didn't. And I had continued to keep calling his home because they gave me his name and his address and everything.
Did you do anything for the dog when the dog was having seizures?
I just did what the veterinarian said, just stay with them and talk to them and just be there with them.
What kind of dog was it?
It's a poodle.
You have any animals of your own?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
What kind of animals?
I have chihuahuas and a basset hound.
So you have small ones and then one short one, but long.
Short and long.
heavy.
Big ears.
Big ears. Go ahead.
I continued to keep calling all week, and we finally got a hold of him on Friday, or to his wife.
Almost a week later.
Yes,
Found the dog on a Sunday. The following Friday, you
Yes,
got
ma'am.
in touch with him. Okay, you spoke to his wife.
I had spoken to his wife, told her my name and phone number, and that I had found the dog and where, gave her my address for them to come pick it up. And she had told me about a reward money.
Where's your wife?
She's at home with our children.
Go ahead.
I didn't even know anything about the reward money. His wife had told me, and she said that they have not told their kids because they didn't know what to say to their kids.
Did she say she was paying the reward money?
No, ma'am, she said that a kennel was.
So, who came to pick up the dog?
He did about an hour later.
And you gave him the dog?
I gave him the dog.
Did you have a discussion with him about this reward money?
He told me that he had talked to the kennel, and the reward money still stood since I had found the dog, and he's going to make sure I got the reward money.
That's
So
what he said to you?
That's not what
Shh, just a second. That's what he said to you?
That's exactly what he said in front of my daughter and my son and nephews.
Okay. And you never got the reward money?
No, ma'am, he went and picked it up.
Okay. Now, Mr. Oldham.
Yes, ma'am.
I gather that you were on vacation, which is why the dog was kennelled, according to what I read in your papers.
Yes, it was.
When did you go on vacation?
I left on a Saturday afternoon
And how long were you and your family away?
till Thursday afternoon.
No, ma'am.
I'm sorry, we got back on a Friday. I apologize.
Good. Now, during the time you were away on vacation, you had no idea that this dog that you had put in a kennel,
No.
right? Let me finish my question, then you can say no. While you were away for that week, you had no information that your dog that you had placed in a kennel had somehow gotten loose, escaped, been lost. Is that right?
That's right.
So you get home Friday, and you get a call from the plaintiff,
Yes, ma'am.
who told you she had your dog.
Yes, ma'am.
And you went and got your dog.
That's not exactly how the events took place.
Well, tell me how they took place.
Okay, we got back home that afternoon, and my mother-in-law called me, first of all, and told me that a dog had been stolen from the kennels. She said she didn't call us when we were on vacation because she didn't want us to bother us while we were on vacation. There was nothing we could have done anyway.
Good idea. See how smart your mother-in-law is?
Very smart. Very smart.
Good.
So we directly after that, we called the kennels, and my wife talked to her, and my wife lost it. She was bawling, and I got on the phone, and I told her, I said, how can you tell me that my dog was stolen and it was the only dog stolen? She said, well, it was, and I told her I was to be right there. I went down there to talk to her person to person.
Now, the kennel and your vet are two different people, is that
Yes,
right?
ma'am.
Okay, go ahead. So you went down, you spoke to the kennel people. What happened next?
Well, she called 5 minutes after I got off the phone.
Fine. So that's what I said before.
I'm
She
sorry.
called you.
She called me 5 minutes after I got off the phone with the kennels.
Did you ever call your vet?
Yes.
Pay careful attention to what I'm asking you. When you called your vet, did your vet advise you that they had received a telephone call days before from the plaintiff?
No.
Did you ask them?
Yes.
And what did they say?
They said they received a telephone call from her asking about our dog.
Well, that's what I'm asking you, sir. I'm not playing with you.
I'm sorry. I
They
didn't understand the
received a
question.
telephone call from the plaintiff days before
Yes, ma'am.
saying, I found this dog. Here is the tag number.
No, ma'am. They called. She said that the information that they asked was they wanted to know about the dog. They wanted to know information about my dog. They did not tell her that they'd found my dog. They said they wanted to know information about my dog because it had seizures.
Oh, I don't think that that's true, Mr. Oldman. I think you're making that up, sir.
I've got a letter from the veterinarian.
I don't think that that's true, sir. Mr. Oldham.
I've got a letter from the veterinarian also.
Yeah, I'd like to see both letters.
It's just showing my dog.
Shh. All right. This is a letter dated July 27th. Just saved me a phone call because I'm not stupid. This is what he's going to tell me if I call. I had a phone conversation about a month ago with a lady who had found a poodle on Interstate 30. She was attempting to find the owner of the dog and reported that the dog had seizures. The dog had been vaccinated at our clinic, and she had obtained the name and phone number of the owner and stated that she attempted to contact him. This is from your vet.
Okay.
Right.
Yes, ma'am.
Ah. Now, did the kennel pay you any money?
Yes, ma'am. She did.
How much money did the kennel pay you?
She gave me $500 for her irresponsibility and compensation.
Baloney! I absolutely believe the plaintiff when she said to me that she was told there was a reward. Not a reward that you were going to pay for the dog, but a reward that the kennel was offering for the dog.
No, ma'am. I mean,
No, ma'am.
I went up there to get my dog from the kennels.
Yeah.
After I got it, it was infested with fleas. I took it to the kennels and I said, would you please dip it? It's infested with fleas. The conversation we had between her was that we believed that she had something to do with the stealing of my dog.
I want to tell you something, Mr. Oldham. There is something wrong with your mind. Why would somebody who stole your dog call the vet, report that she had found this dog, say, I don't understand that the dog has seizures. Could you help me out? I don't know what to do with the dog has seizures. Then pick up the phone and try to call you. Now, there's no question she had been trying to call you continuously because she called you on the day you returned from vacation. You think that that was just an act of God that she called you just on that day? She had been calling you continuously all week. What you did was the wrong thing. You should have paid her yourself for finding your dog. Instead, the kennel, who was responsible for lax security, offered a reward. She found the dog. She wasn't even looking for the reward. She wasn't. She was promised the reward because she was told that there was a reward. And then you went, picked up the money, and kept it. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $500. Thank you.
Parties are case number.
Let my daughter Rosemary have a little justice.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Arvizu versus Lawrence, step forward, please.
36-year-old police officer Edward Arvizu claims Deborah Lawrence's daughter, 14-year-old Autumn, made unauthorized phone calls on his calling card.
Mr. Arvizu, you have a daughter,
Yes, I do.
and the defendant has a daughter.
Yes.
And your two girls were best friends
Yes.
for a long time. For how long?
About 8 years.
And then I gather that there was a time when your nephew, who lived out of state, came to visit you for a while.
Yes, it was early of April this year.
And the defendant's daughter sort of developed an attachment for your nephew.
Yeah, I believe so.
And then he went back home.
Yes.
What state do you come from?
Arizona,
And what state does nephew come from?
California.
After he went home, you got a whopping telephone bill.
Yes, I did.
$1,042.42. Is that right?
Yes, it is.
So did you call a phone company and
I noticed that I recognized all of the numbers.
whose numbers were they?
The originating number was from my sister's house, where my nephew lives, and
What were these, collect calls or
calling card.
calling card?
Yes.
Oh, so somebody got a hold of your calling card.
Yes.
Go ahead.
The numbers that the calls were placed to were also familiar. My daughter said, "That's Autumn's number, Dad." So
That's Autumn.
Yes.
So what did you do next?
I called my sister, sent her a copy of the bill. She was not happy, but was willing to accept the responsibility. And I also did the same thing with Autumn's mother, sent her a copy of the bill. She
I was
told
never
me,
mailed a copy of the bill.
she told me that I got a call back a few days later that she would only accept responsibility for the calls that Autumn made. And at this point on the first bill, it was only like $12.96.
Okay. Well, that would be fair to only accept responsibility for the calls that Autumn made. But then you got another bill.
Yes.
What was the next bill?
$1,451.40.
And how much of that bill is attributed to phone calls that Autumn made?
I only have it figured out with tax and from the prior month. For the second month, $1,349.35.
So she made all the calls.
Yes.
Next month, plus $1,296.
Yes.
So $1,352.31.
When their nephew came to visit, a crush happened for both of them. It wasn't just one. She was 13, he was 17. Their son drove the nephew home, and apparently the son had left his wallet there because he had expressed to Autumn he needed to mail it back. How he got the PIN number, I do not know. But the calls originated from him. When he spoke to my daughter, he said, call me at this number, and
he gave her a calling card.
Well, he didn't give her a card. He gave her
the number.
A card number and
okay.
a pen number.
Autumn, did you recognize the number on that card?
At first.
You've called that number many times over the last 8 years, isn't that right? Because your friend lives there.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you realize that card had the same telephone number as your friend, as the Arvizus, right?
Yes.
Who'd you think was going to pay for that?
I didn't think about it at the time.
Right, you didn't think about it. That's the bottom line of it.
When he gave her the number and the pen number, the only calling cards that Autumn has ever had are the ones that you buy in stores. The pen numbers are not attached. They're ones that you create. And he told her this was, you make your own PIN number. You make your own, you have the number, but you don't have a PIN number. You make your own.
So what?
He told her it was his.
So what?
And that this was okay, and that when she asked how many minutes were on it, he said unlimited.
Did you have that whole conversation with him?
Yes.
You see, 13-year-olds are very smart, Ms. Loren. 13-year-olds are so smart when it comes to these numbers. They know all about that.
No, they don't. No,
yeah,
at least not my daughter does not.
Well, who do you think should pay this $1,349.35? Him?
No, I think that the nephew should.
He's 17. He's not responsible to pay anything.
He is the one who got the number. There is no way that she could have.
Listen to me.
She would not have done anything that would have caused somebody to pay a lot of money.
Responsibility. She lives in your house, right?
Yes, she does.
Did she use your telephone to call him?
Yes, she did.
To call him. How much of a phone bill did you get?
Because he gave her a number for a calling card that was prepaid.
Answer my question. Did she use your telephone?
No. Yes, she used my telephone.
But she did not bill it to you?
No.
And that's because she knows that calling costs money.
Yes. But
you know how long you have to sit on the phone to work up a bill of $1,362.31? A very, very long time.
Yes.
Now, in the second month, most of those calls came from her.
Well, he would page her on her pager using the calling card, and then she would return the call.
Your Honor, I have the bills here that show how many times she called. The times are on the bill.
Oh, she called him and sat on the phone with him, right?
Yes.
Is this the nephew?
Yes, it is.
Step up here. What's your name?
Brandon.
Where'd you get the card from?
I found it on the floor in my cousin's room.
And you knew it was the wrong thing to do to have it, right?
No, I didn't find the card. I just found the number.
The number?
Yeah, it was written down on a piece of paper.
So what'd you use it for?
At the time, I wasn't thinking.
Well, you weren't thinking a lot.
Pretty much.
What happened in the second month? You stopped calling so much.
I just didn't call. I just paged her, and then she'd call me back.
Why?
I don't know. I just got...
What do you mean you don't know?
I didn't...
Did you get in trouble with your mother?
No.
Did your mother say anything about the first bill?
The second bill did not show up until, wasn't even knowledgeable until after they had stopped making calls because of the way that they mail out the bills. There was no knowledge of a second month until after the calls had stopped.
You have to accept responsibility for what your daughter did.
My daughter didn't do anything intentionally. She trusted this boy. He told her it was a calling card number that was prepaid.
What? So what?
She would never have done it. She would never have used it because she adores this family. She's known them
What
for
grade are you
many
in
years.
school?
9th.
How do you do in school?
Good.
Let me hear, what was your grade last semester in math?
A.
What was your grade in English?
A.
What was your grade in social studies?
A.
So you're not stupid.
No.
No, but
Judgment for the
naive to
plaintiff in the
world.
amount of $1,362.31. Don't avoid responsibility. It's
I
a
was
very,
not avoiding
very
it.
bad lesson and message to send to your daughter.
No, it was
That's
a
all.
bad message.
10 kids by him. Please don't get involved with people like her. Please don't.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Durham versus Creech, step forward, please.
18-year-old baseball player Justin Durham is suing his ex-fiancée, 19-year-old waitress Kara Creech, for the return of an engagement ring. Kara is countersuing for the return of her class ring.
Mr. Durham, you and the defendant were engaged to be married. It didn't work out. You want the engagement ring back.
That's right.
Ms. Creech says that you have some property of hers, you have a class ring, and there are some other expenses that she believes that are your responsibility as a result of this failed wedding. She is counterclaiming. She said you didn't pay for these rings yourself. There was some down payment made by her mother. So when did you become engaged?
Well, it was about 4 months ago.
Look at me. Not
I had asked her mom to help me with $100 to make the down payment on the ring. So she did. With no more than 3 days later, I gave her a crisp $100 bill.
Did he give you back the $100?
Yes, he just didn't pay the 10. I gave him 110, that was all.
Fine, so that's a wash. So that's taken care of. So other than the down payment, initially, you paid for the ring?
Right.
So 4 months ago, are you laughing? Is this funny?
No.
4 months ago, you became engaged. And for how long were you engaged?
For about five months.
1 month.
Just a second. Mr. Durham, I'm not very good at math. If you became engaged 4 months ago and you were engaged for 5 months, then we're talking about Back to the Future. Do you understand? How long were you engaged?
About a month and a half.
And what happened?
She cheated on me.
No, that's not true, Your Honor.
Yeah.
Okay, so as a result of that, you say the engagement was broken.
Right.
You broke the engagement.
No, she did.
Can I see the ring, please? Who has the receipt for the ring?
I do.
I have one too.
Can I see both, please? Okay. How much did you pay for this ring?
$549.
No. You have a ring and then there's a bridal set.
I have the other piece. It was a set. It wasn't a separate piece.
Well, it's billed separately, sir. One says $371 and the other item was $128. So here we have the engagement ring. Now, is the engagement ring $371? Let's get it together, please. I mean, this is not, I've got a secret. Would you answer me?
Yes.
Yes, what?
The ring was $400.
$371.
$371. Sorry.
Where's the other piece of this, the $128 set? You have that.
Right.
Can I see it, please? Okay. Very nice. And I see it's a nice little set because one of these things fits in here like this. I don't know how it does it. I'm never very good at that. There you go. Very pretty. Okay. So here's this piece back. Now, he gets them both. Engagement ring. Engagement's off. Engagement ring is given in contemplation of marriage. No more engagement. He gets the ring back. Return them. Sell them. Contemplate them. Now let's get to your counterclaim. Do you have her class ring?
Yes, I do.
Where is it? Perfect. Look how easy this is going to be. It's going to be a piece of cake. Class ring. He gets the receipts. She gets the class ring.
Got it.
Perfect. Now she's got a class ring back. Now, miscellaneous wedding expenses that you think he should pay for. You say you broke off this engagement.
Yes.
Tell me why.
Because I have a 1-year-old son and I am not putting what he does around my son. He came to my house one night and he was high and he was drunk.
Okay. And you thought it was a bad idea.
Yes.
So you broke off the engagement.
Mm-hmm.
And you have a wedding dress and some little wedding expenses.
Yes.
Then you made a good choice. You pay for those. You should have thought twice about becoming engaged to somebody that you knew for a relatively short period of time. Right?
Yes.
So consider yourself very lucky. dye your engagement dress another color, yellow, use it again. And if he was the wrong person for you, it's a very cheap price, right?
Yes.
Good luck. Everybody's got their property back? Goodbye.
It's case number 1.
Happy with that. That's what I wanted.
And now the next case.
All parties on Laram versus Huth. Step forward, please.
35-year-old teacher Susan Laram is suing her former live-in boyfriend, 29-year-old Mason Ron Huth, for unpaid living expenses and damage to her car.
Ms. Laram, the complaint that I read said that you lived with the defendant for about a year and a half.
He lived with me.
He lived with you. And that you no longer live together. The breakup was acrimonious, and he owes you for a variety of things. He owes you for rent. He owes you for damage he did to your car at one point. And he owes you for smashing up some work that was done in your backyard.
Yes.
When did you start living together?
In June of 2000.
And what was the rent arrangement?
At that time, he was supposed to help me out with the bills, and he didn't do that, so after some arguing, I had him put it down in writing.
That sounds romantic. Can I see that, please?
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Laram is suing former live-in boyfriend Ron Huth for unpaid living expenses and for damaging her truck in a fit of rage. Ron says Susan tried to make off with his children's car seats.
Well, this is dated May of this year.
Yes.
When did you move out?
I moved out a week after that note was written.
Okay, so this writing is meaningless. You were fighting at the time. I want to know what your arrangement was from the time he moved in until May of 2001, because that's when he moved out.
Right.
Did he contribute any money to the house?
No, he did not.
According to you, Mr. Huth, you gave her your paychecks.
Every paycheck that I made from the time that I started living with Sue, and to make sure the record is clear, I only lived with Sue for 5 months before we got into our first argument, which you would say, where we had our first breaking up. I moved out on November 29th of 2000. All right, that was my birthday. There was an incident that happened that
All right,
night.
we'll get to that incident because that has to do with car damage that she's claiming.
Okay,
Okay, let's get to the fact that you say you turned over all your paychecks to her during the 5 months that you actually lived together. Is that accurate, Miss Laron?
It was, but then he also took all the money back out of my account.
Well, how did he take the money back out of your account?
He had my check card, and that was how he deposited his check, but then he also, in turn, took out all the cash.
Well, if he's putting his entire paycheck into the bank, just pay careful attention. He's putting what he earns into the bank. So he has to clearly take out some money for himself to live on, to go to work, to do whatever he has to do, to buy clothes, etc. Now, if you're telling me that he's using your checking account as merely a way of getting his own money back and he wasn't contributing anything to the house, that's a different story, because that would be sort of like using your bank as a check cashing service. But if the two of you are using your checking account and you can't manage your bills, and that's what you were fighting about, you can't come to court later. Do you understand?
Yes.
Now, do you have any such record from the bank indicating that he was using your checking account as just check cashing?
Not with me.
Well, this is the place to have it. So that deals with the issue of rent. Now let's get to this car issue. You say in October of 2000 he purposely damaged your car.
Yes.
Tell me about that.
We were in a fight over the phone bill because the phone was shut off because the phone bill was not paid. And I was going over to my girlfriend's house to get away from him because we were arguing. He jumped on the hood of my car, and as I drove by trying to get him off of my car, he jumped off and smashed the mirror.
Now, what's your version of that event?
Well, ma'am, it wasn't in October because it happened on my birthday. I came home late from work that evening. I had planned to do something with Sue. Prior to that night, though, she had told me that her and her daughter were going to go over to a friend's house and spend the evening.
You had been fighting, I assume, over money.
Actually, no, the fighting was not actually about money. What I was more angry about was she burned my birthday dinner, she burned my birthday cake.
I mean, she burned it on purpose.
Well, she was so busy, what I think, and I'm not sure, but I think she was so into the fact that she was getting ready for her evening that she forgot about it.
So she burned your birthday dinner.
Right. I came home, and she told me that she was just going over to a friend's house the night before to have some drinks, which turned into, I'm going to a wine tasting party. This is my birthday, November 29th.
Should have been, just a minute, should have been a clue.
Should have been a clue, you're right. You're right, Your Honor.
So what happened?
Well, she was leaving. We actually got into a very big argument. My children were actually there. I then told Sue when she was going out to her vehicle that I needed my car seats because I knew that there was going to be an altercation when she got back from the store for making
You mean
a
a car
phone
seat
call.
for the children?
They were in the back of her Blazer. I then followed her in the garage. She got into her vehicle. She locked the door and turned the radio up so I couldn't speak. I walked around behind the vehicle. I stood there, and I did not move. I told her I was not getting out of the way till I had my car seats. She began to back over me. I moved out of the way. I followed her down the driveway, and then I stood in front of her vehicle, and I said, all I want are my children's seats so I can take them back to their mothers. That's it. You know what? That was the end. She would have stopped the vehicle, got out, and gave me them. It would have been over.
Okay.
All right? I then proceeded. She started to move. I jumped up on the hood, and I laid on it. Very wrong for me to do. Put myself in very much danger. She began to accelerate down the road with me on the hood of the car. Okay? I slid off the side on the driver's side. When I hit the ground, she gunned it. And you know what? I can't just say what exactly happened. I know that the mirror was damaged. It was ripped off the vehicle. I was hit here in the shoulder. She drove around the corner, got out of her vehicle, and yelled every obscenity that you can imagine at me because her mirror was busted.
Did you get the car seats back?
No, never did. She took off.
That is not true.
He seems pretty clear. He acknowledges the fact that he jumped on the hood of your car and that the mirror was broken. So,
the incident in question happened October 7th, which is a Saturday. And as far as his birthday dinner, it was not burned.
But my question to you about this car incident was that this happened in either October or November of 2000, and he left, but then he came back.
Right. He did not leave until December.
Fine. Now, when he came back, did you talk about the car?
Yes. I asked him when he was going to repair it, and he got some glue and tried to glue it twice, and it didn't work. So I did ask him to repair it, and he did not.
When did you ask him to repair it?
Right after it happened.
You lived together in January, is that right?
Yes.
Did he fix the car in January?
No.
What about February? Did he fix the car?
No.
March?
No.
April?
No.
And then we go into May.
Right.
Miss Larome, not everything is a lawsuit, madam. He describes an incident where you took off in a huff and you had his children's car seats in the car. Did that ever happen?
Yes, that happened. But after he knocked the mirror off my car, I took the car seats out and threw them in the yard. So he did get them back.
Why didn't you give them back before?
I didn't realize they were in the back seat of my car. That doesn't make it right for him to jump on the hood of my car and break my car mirror.
Absolutely not. You were driving off with his property. And you knew you had his property in the car.
I
You were
did
very
not
angry.
know.
You were very angry. People do things when they get angry. And if you had said, well, I may have been angry, but you had no right to put yourself on the hood of my car, even though I was taking off the property that belongs to you.
Right. I was only going up to the store to use the
Who
phone.
knows? Who cares? He wanted the children's car seats.
Right.
He'd had a fight in front of the children. He wanted to take the children home. It's all a fight. Not everything involves a lawsuit. You behaved badly. He behaved badly. And when you took the car seats out and threw them on the lawn, that also was not the right thing to do.
You're
right.
right? You're right.
Okay. So take care of it like grown-ups. Now let's get to the backyard. You say that you had a major argument in May of this year and that he destroyed the backyard. His defense is that he built the backyard so he could destroy the backyard. Is that your defense? So let's hear about the backyard.
As part of a present to me, he built brick planters in my backyard around the deck. I have photos if you'd like to see. And because of the argument that we had that day in June, he destroyed all of it.
I did that, Your Honor. I did.
All right. Did you, in fact, build this brick planter box for her?
Gotcha.
Or you were in the process of building? It doesn't look like it's completed.
It wasn't complete yet, but almost.
As a gift?
Your Honor, yeah, it was a gift. It was also the part of like the deck that I built. It was all something to work out for flowers and stuff.
Okay.
A lot of the other stuff that I do have a list of things in the course of the time that we were together that I did build in this house.
Can I see it, please?
And around the yard. And I never asked for one penny for any of this when I left. And this is my own hard-earned work, my labor of bringing these materials home from work for this lady. And it was because I enjoyed her and loved her very much. And that's why I did that.
Let me ask you a question. Did he build a playhouse in a shed?
I have a photo of that, too. And it is not a playhouse or a shed. It is a big monster that is in my yard.
Did you tell him to take it out? Did you tell him to stop building it when he was building it?
No, he just quit building it. So I have that in my yard.
Okay. Did he build a doghouse?
He put a roof over the top of the doghouse.
He said he built a doghouse, and then he put a roof on the dog kennel.
Right, for his dog.
Did he build a deck?
Yes, that's in
That's the whole
picture.
back deck?
Right.
Didn't break the deck?
No.
What about a brick fire pit? Did he build that?
Yes.
I see that you did work around the house, and you were building things around the house, and you do have a deck, correct?
Yes.
You had no right out of anger, sir.
I know.
To smash the work that you did.
You're right, I did.
And so what this involves is cleaning this up.
Right.
How much do you estimate it's going to cost to clean up the bricks?
I talked to his former employer, and he said to clean it up and replace it would be $3,000.
No way. He made a mess. He got angry and he made a mess, and he should pay for that.
Your Honor,
Yes.
while I was wrecking it, the officer came into the yard. He asked me what I was doing, and I said I was wrecking something that I spent a lot of good time building for this lady. And you know what? Out of anger, yes, I destroyed it because I was very hurt with the way how things were going.
Well, is it still this
All right.
way?
I told
Yes,
the
it
officer I will come back at any time to clean this mess up. I said, but she is not going to have this in her yard. He said, okay, you come back. She made it very clear that she did not want me to come back and clean
Because
it
she
up.
was angry that you were angry and that you,
Yes, I
you lost your
understand that.
temper, and she doesn't want to deal with that anymore. But at most, if you get somebody to come in, it'll cost you $50 to have somebody
Yeah,
come
you
in and take all this brick away. They may even do it for nothing, just for the bricks, if you let them take the bricks away. Anything else? Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $50. That's all.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Luster versus Fair, step forward.
22-year-old makeup artist Kelly Luster is suing her ex-boyfriend, 33-year-old general contractor Herbert Fair, for unpaid credit card charges and for the balance of a computer.
Ms. Luster, according to your complaint, the defendant is your former boyfriend.
Correct.
And there was a time when you allowed him to make purchases on a credit card.
Correct.
When you broke up, you put a stop on that credit card and said that you no longer wanted him to be able to make purchases on it. And the next day or something, he made $677 worth of payments on the credit card. You say that there have been no payments on that amount, and you want him to pay you that amount because you're not together anymore, and you don't want to be bothered with him and come chasing him, and the bank is looking for you, and it affects your credit.
Correct.
In addition, you allowed him to purchase a computer on your credit card.
We opened up a gateway account, and it was under my name because I had good credit. And we paid the payments together. We lived together for about 3 years, and the payments were fine. We paid them together. And as soon as we broke up, I was paying the payments, and the computer remained at his house.
He agrees that he put that money on the credit card, $677.
I do.
And what's left on the computer is what?
The amount is $1,357.88.
Now, Mr. Fair says he did pay for a substantial amount of the computer, and he does acknowledge that there is an additional amount owing on the computer. His defense is that he made some sort of a loan for some plastic surgery that you had.
It doesn't matter what the loan was, Your Honor. I just basically...
He loaned me money.
I lent her money. I just...
Well, that's what you say in your answer.
doesn't
So you
matter
want
what
to tell
it
me
is.
about this loan that you say negates the $677, as well as the $1,357 that's left on the computer that is in your possession.
This is true.
Well, tell me.
Well,
What
basically,
loan did you
know,
make her?
I gave her a loan. It doesn't really matter what it was. I mean, I was with her for 3.5 years, and I was basically, putting her through school and doing some things, for her. And basically, I felt that I didn't have to make the payments no more on the computer because of so much money that I've invested into this relationship as well.
Your Honor, I paid him back the loan that he gave to me. So that has nothing to do with the computer. I paid him back every single dime that he lent me. So it has nothing...
Did you?
Yes.
But she was supposed to pay me back, but she didn't pay me back on time.
But I still paid him back. He was still paid back. I mean...
How much did you borrow from him?
I borrowed $3,000 from him, and he was paid back every single dime.
Is
He
that
wasn't
correct,
paid
sir?
back exactly.
I was paid
the
it
time.
back, yeah, but not the time that I was told that I was going to be paid back.
Were you paid back before you broke up?
Yes.
Yes.
So it wasn't an issue.
Yes, I don't even know why he's even bringing that up. I think he's just using that because he knows that he owes me for these things.
So what is your defense, sir? I don't know what your defense is, Mr. Fair. If that's
well,
not your defense.
I mean, like I said, you know, 3.5 years of being into this relationship with her and stuff, and I took care of her basically for 3.5 years. I felt that I didn't need to pay these both bills, and these are basically it between her and I. So.
As you can see why I don't want to be with him any longer. I paid him back every single dime that...
He says that you paid him back.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with the money that he owes me. And he knows that he owes me this money, and he's just trying to make excuses and make up stupid things. I even have proof. I have the bills, if you want to see them.
He doesn't deny the bills, Miss Luster. He doesn't deny the bills, and he doesn't have a defense. So judgment
never does.
Judgment is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,034.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Case number 270.
Perfect. That's all.
This is case number 266 on the calendar in the matter of Chilcutt versus May. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Sir, have a seat, please.
Mr. Chilcutt, the defendant is a neighbor of yours, and you claim sometime last fall she vandalized your car.
Yes, ma'am.
She, of course, says she doesn't know what you're talking about. When did this happen, sir?
Approximately the fall of 2000.
Fall is a long time.
Around November. I know it was a time when the leaves were falling down because what happened was my car, there were enough leaves in the bin to cover my car completely, several inches thick.
So that's how you knew it was the fall?
Yes.
Okay. All right, so sometime in the fall of 2000, what happened to your car?
Well, as a result of the leaves being piled...
what happened to your car? You came outside, you see your car full of leaves. Is that what happened?
Covered with leaves. The surface of the car, the top surface of the car was covered with leaves.
Was this in the morning or in the... Mr. Chilcutt, was this in the morning or in the evening that you noticed the car?
The morning.
And what did you do?
I proceeded to clean the car off.
And then what happened?
That was it. After I cleaned the car off, I noticed that there were looked like thousands of tiny scratches in the car and a couple of deeper scratches on the top of the car. And that was it. At that point, I had no idea that I had witnesses. About 8 months later, I was out waiting for a friend to pick me up, and Joe was outside washing his car, and we were just talking, conversing back and forth. And I told him about my car being vandalized back in the last fall. And he told me, he said, well,
Don't tell me what he told. He's here. He's going to tell me what he said. Step up here, sir.
That's when he indicated to me.
What's your last name?
Bastillos.
Mr. Bastillos, are you a neighbor of these people?
Yeah, I am.
Did you witness anything happen in the fall of the year 2000 to the plaintiff's car?
Yes. One morning I came out to take off and go somewhere in my car, and I noticed this lady here throwing leaves on top of the cars that were parked in front of her house, which was his car and another neighbor's. And she was just, dumping the leaves all over the car. And a lady across the street yelled out, "What are you doing?" And she's like, she proceeded to say, she's off that people always moved her trash cans where they weren't getting picked up. So she was just irate and throwing leaves all over the car. But she also had the trash can on top of the car. So that's what I witnessed.
Okay, and how many cars did you see her dump leaves on? 2. And you sure that one of them was the plaintiff's car?
Yeah.
How do you know that?
Yeah, I've been in his car before.
Are you a friend of his?
Yeah.
Are you a friend of his? You hesitated, sir.
Well, we're not friends, we're acquaintances.
All right. So then, can you explain to me why it took you 8 months to tell him what you saw?
Because no one asked me.
You say that you saw the defendant, in effect, vandalizing 2 cars.
Yes.
That another neighbor came out and yelled at her. That she responded that she was unhappy because people were moving her trash cans.
Yes.
And you didn't think it was appropriate at that time to go over to the plaintiff and say to the plaintiff, listen, if I were you, I wouldn't park my car over there anymore because your car is going to get damaged again. This is what I saw. So you mean somebody has to ask you that?
At the time, I didn't know it was his car until that morning. He came up to me and asked me while I was washing my car. And
you didn't, I don't understand. At the time that this happened, you knew the plaintiff. Is that right? He's the plaintiff.
Yeah. I did not know what car belonged to him. I knew him from, being in the building.
I thought
he
you
has
said
a truck. He has a truck and a car.
I thought you said you knew the car because you had been in the car before. I asked you, how did you know it was his car? You told me you knew the car because you had been in the car. Isn't that what you just said to me?
Yes.
So if you knew the car because you had been in the car, my question comes back, why didn't you immediately go over and tell him someone has just vandalized your car? Your answer to me was because nobody asked you?
No. When you asked me if I knew his car, I was nervous. That's why I said what I said. I did not know his car.
You didn't know his car.
Didn't.
Did not. And you had never been in his car.
Until after.
No, just a minute. And you had never been in his car.
Correct.
Oh, okay, so now we're going back. You had never been in his car. Until after this happened.
Correct.
How much after?
2 months after.
So 2 months after you saw this incident occur, which would have been also in the fall or early winter of 2000, you were in his car under what circumstances?
He gave me a ride to pick up my car.
So that was nice of him, right?
Yes.
And at that time, sir, you recognized his car as the car that had been vandalized, I assume?
Yeah.
Well, can you tell me why at that time you didn't discuss it with him?
Because he didn't bring it up.
Your Honor, may I?
No, you may not. He didn't bring it up. You didn't get into the car and say, gee, I didn't realize this was your car. You know, a couple of months ago, I saw someone vandalizing your car.
No, I didn't.
So what prompted you a year later to have this revelation and discuss it with Mr. Chilcutt?
Like he said, when I was washing my car, he came up to me, struck up a conversation, and mentioned that he was mad about the fact that someone was marking up his car.
So you said a year ago I saw somebody messing up your car. Is that what happened? Is that what happened?
No.
What did you tell him?
I told him what I witnessed.
A year ago?
Yes.
A year before? Good, sit down. What else do you want to tell me?
Your Honor, I asked Joe the same question. Why didn't you tell me previously? And at the time, he told me...
I don't want you to tell me what he told you. I just had him up on the stand. He testified. What else do you want to tell me?
Just that damage has been done to my car. Joe saw the lady doing the damage.
No, he didn't. No, he didn't. I don't believe that he, according to him, he first knew your car, then he didn't know your car. He had never seen your car before. He was in your car. He wasn't in your car. That's your only witness.
Your Honor, he's
it's not
nervous.
Enough. It's not enough.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Stephen Chilcutt is suing his neighbor, Angela May, for dumping a garbage can full of leaves on top of his car.
I have to base a case on evidence. You don't even know the date that it happened. Sometime in the fall, around November. He doesn't know whether he's afoot or horseback. And if that's your only witness, you have no case, sir. Do you understand?
I have another statement from another neighbor who
I don't
couldn't
take
be here.
statements, I take witnesses. And do you want to know why I take witnesses? Because if I took his statement, I would find her guilty. But after examining him, sir, he didn't see nothing that I can rely on. Do you understand? So I don't take statements. Do you have anything else? Do you have any other witnesses?
I have no other witnesses.
Good. Thank you for your time. Case is over. Dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I didn't even get to give my story.
According to my witness, she tipped it up on top of the car and scraped it across the car.
We have those big green trash cans from the city. I could no more pick up one of those big green trash cans than fly.
A 2-year-old mortgage consultant, Victoria Lee, is suing her friend's ex-boyfriend, 33-year-old computer program manager, Kiet Kurniawan, for damaging her home when he tried lighting a fireplace with kerosene.
Order. All rise. Yeah, this is case number 215 on the calendar in the matter of Lee versus Kurniawan. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Miss Lee, according to your complaint, the defendant was living in your home. You were living there with a friend of yours, and he was the friend's boyfriend. Is that right?
Yes.
And you claim that he started a fire in your home, caused substantial amount of damage. You want him to pay for all of the damage. The defendant's answer indicates that, well, it was an accident. And 2, he fixed a lot of the damage, and there should not be anything that requires any professional attention. Is that right, sir?
That's right.
Okay. When did this happen?
Well, it took place around February of 2000. It was close to midnight, where he had apparently started the fire by himself. And somehow he had used kerosene, and it got out of hand. He left a trail of kerosene from the front door to the fireplace. So when he started to light the fire, it trailed back, of course, to the front door on the hardwood floor as well.
You have pictures of the damage?
Yes, I do.
Were you in the house at the time?
Yes, I was.
The fire was extinguished so that nobody was hurt?
Correct.
Fortunately.
Fortunately,
okay.
Yes.
What's this dollar bill doing on your floor?
Oh, I had a friend took that, and he just
put the dollar bill there just to focus in on the area.
I see. I assume that's the ceiling, smoke on the ceiling?
Correct.
Okay. Why did you light a fire with kerosene?
Well,
Oh, no, well, over here.
Okay.
Well is not an answer.
That's actually the part that is not true. I didn't try to lit up the fireplace with the kerosene.
How did you light the fire?
Well, okay, the truth is that I think it's about on June last year, and it's not on February.
You needed a fire in June?
Yeah.
Was it very cold?
June 31st, yeah.
It was very cold. Where do you live?
In Seattle.
Even in Seattle, it's cold enough in the summertime that you have to light a fire?
Yeah, sometimes. Sometimes it can get really cold, yeah. And I noticed at that time also it was raining outside.
What time of the day or evening did you light this fire?
Well, that's the thing that I'm not quite sure also. I have already totally forgot about this whole incident.
How many fires have you lit in your life that caused damage?
Yeah, that's...
How many? Is my question.
This is the first time.
Then I would remember it. Do you understand? You almost burned the house down.
Yes.
How did it happen?
Okay, I
Do
have
you
a
remember
drink.
how it happened?
Yes, I remember.
You remember clearly how it happened?
Yes.
Go ahead.
So at that time that it was late at night, and then I was setting up the fireplace, and then after that I go make myself a drink.
What time were you setting up the fireplace?
It's probably around 10 o'clock.
Didn't you have to get up early in the morning?
Yes, I do. Because that I thinking I was just going to set up the fireplace for about an hour, and then after that I will
No, slowly, sir.
extinguish it.
You thought you were setting up the fireplace and what?
For about only an hour.
Fires don't last for only an hour.
Yeah, but I decided that later on I will just extinguish it myself and then go to bed because I have to work in the morning.
How'd the fire start?
Okay, like I said, that when I get up and then try to make a drink, I have this vodka on my hand, and then I lit up the fire. I didn't use any kerosene or anything. It was a dry wood, so I just start up the fire right away. And then approximately after about 15 minutes or so, I decided I need to go to the restroom. So I go to the fireplace, then put more wood into the fireplace. And then at that time, I put the glass with the vodka in front of the fireplace. And then I just totally forgot because that is not is
Had a little
dangerous.
too much vodka.
Yeah. Unfortunately, yes.
Had a little too much vodka.
Yes.
There you go. I knew we were going to find the answer, sir, if we just kept going. So it wasn't an accident. It wasn't on purpose. It was caused by you having a little too much Stoli or whatever you were drinking.
That's right.
Right? So you have to take care of the damage. Now, what did you do to take care of the damage?
Well, the next morning that I told...
Fire department came?
No, it didn't. Even though the fire alarm went off because of that.
No firemen came?
No. Your Honor, my son, the fireplace was about 10 feet away from his front bedroom door. And when he heard the alarm went off, he quickly went out. He went to the front yard, took the hose, and came in and hosed it down and extinguished it.
There was damage. Damage to the floors, damage to the door, damage to walls, soot. What did you do to fix all that?
Well, I told my ex-girlfriend that I feel responsible for setting up the fire, causing the fire.
Of course.
Yeah.
You are responsible.
And then I feel bad about it, and then I'm going to fix it. So the next morning, I didn't go to work, and then I start from the painting the front door because it got the smoke stain on that front door. And also after that, I also fixed the hardwood floor just by sanding it, and then.
Did you buy a sander?
No, just like the sandpaper.
That's not the way you fix a floor, sir. You don't take a little piece of sandpaper and just go over areas. You got to do the whole floor.
Yeah. That's the thing is that because I noticed that only like there's like a small black stain on that hardwood floor caused by that fire.
So you just took a little piece of sandpaper and went over it. What else did you do?
And I also paint the ceiling, not the ceiling, but the wallpaper.
You painted over a wallpaper.
Only on the portion that got the smoke.
You're not a decorator, are you, by profession? Huh?
No.
I didn't think so. So that's what you did. You painted over the wallpaper. You took a little piece of sandpaper and you went over the floor in certain spots, right?
Yeah.
And you painted over the front door. Now, before you painted over the front door, what did you do to get off the soot and the smoke and where it had been charred? Did you sand it down? Did you remove all the paint?
No, I didn't.
You just smeared a coat of paint over it.
That's right. I'm not a handyman, so.
When you cause damage to somebody else's property, sir, you may not be a handyman, but if you cause the damage, then you're supposed to get a professional to take care of it. You're not supposed to do it yourself. Let me see estimates of your damage. Do you have homeowners insurance?
Well, Your Honor...
Well is not an answer. My question is, did you have homeowners insurance? Why not?
At the time, I was changing insurance companies, and the 2 weeks had lapsed, and this incident took place during that 2 weeks.
Is this your own home?
Yes.
I want to see proof that you didn't have insurance. I want to see proof of that. Because you're not going to collect twice. Do we understand each other?
Yes.
I'm really smart.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Victoria Lee says her friend's ex-boyfriend, Kiet Kerniawan, damaged her home when he started a fire with kerosene. Kiet says the damage occurred because he left his vodka next to the fireplace.
Now, we're going to bring me something from your insurance company indicating a lapse in coverage at a particular time. Do you have that information?
Yes, Your Honor. I managed to get a letter from the insurance company, as well as a copy of my current insurance, which will show that I started a new insurance as of July 13th, 2000.
And that's in Seattle, Washington?
Yes.
When did you purchase the home?
January of 2000.
How much did you purchase it for?
$240.
You have a mortgage?
Yes, I do.
What's the mortgage?
$189.
If you have a mortgage, you have to have insurance.
Yes.
The lender requires that you have insurance, and if you don't have insurance, they get insurance for you. So if you had to show proof at the closing that you had insurance, everybody knows that. What kind of business are you in?
I'm a mortgage consultant.
You got it. Do we understand each other?
Yes, Your Honor. But my home had closed in January, beginning of January, and then I had wanted to switch insurance company after it had closed. And I was hoping that the lender would not find out, which they didn't. So I did go ahead and get insurance with a different company as of July the 13th.
So what you're telling me is you fraudulently misrepresented to your lender that your premises was insured. Is that right?
No, it was insured at the time of the closing, Your Honor.
Well, at the time of the closing in January, if it was insured in January, it would have been insured in February, when you say the fire took place.
I wanted to change insurance company, so I had canceled it.
Well, that's not his problem. He had an accident in your house. If you had insurance, which you should have had, then you would have been totally covered. Is that right?
Yes, Your Honor.
Case is dismissed.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I fixed it. And I actually told my ex-girlfriend that I will fix it.
Don't you let your insurance lapse.
Yeah, this is case number 290 on the calendar in the matter of Cantway versus Tyler. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Folks, have seats, please.
Ms. Cantway, the defendant is your sister.
Yes.
According to your complaint, she has a car that belongs to you that she refuses to return. And at some point in a dispute over the use of that car, your sister assaulted you. Your sister says that the car is hers, you gave it to her, and that she never laid a hand on you. If anything, she was trying to protect you from yourself. So, Ms. Cantway, tell me how it came to be that your sister actually had possession of your car, because clearly the car is in her possession.
Yes. Last year, July 30th of last year, we decided to write up an agreement. I needed to borrow some money. I was having financial difficulties due to a personal situation, and we were going to write up the financial agreement that she was going to loan me the money and use the car. There were other circumstances behind it that she needed help.
Listen to me. Relax. You're going to have a turn to speak. Do you understand? So sometime last year, you were going to write up an agreement.
We did write up an agreement.
Can I see it, please? Now, when did you write up this agreement?
7/30/01.
And what happened? Signed this agreement that you would let her use your 1991 Toyota Tercel and keep it as collateral for $600 loan. You say the loan never came about?
No, the loan never came about.
So, what happened next?
Well, a couple of months went by. We had talked about it a little bit. The situation was good for her at that point because the car that she had been driving, she sold because it was unsafe. She did help me watch my kids, and it was a safe car for her to be able to drive around in. I did have another vehicle at the time.
Where had you gotten this car from?
My mother gave me this car.
When?
Back in 1995.
And you had another car?
At the time that my sister was using mine, yes.
What kind of car did you have?
1996 Camaro.
So what happened a year later?
Well, we had had a few discussions about the car. She was perfectly aware of the situation, that the car was to be used by her, not owned by her. She knew.
Don't tell me what she knew.
Okay, well, as far as my understanding, she knew.
Just don't tell me what she knew.
In February of the following year, I told her that my Camaro is going to have to go. I'm filing bankruptcy. Well, something happened to the Camaro prior to them repoing it on the bankruptcy anyway, but either way, it was going to go. I told her I have to have the vehicle back. We discussed being able to work out terms of sharing the vehicle so that neither one of us would be without a car.
Let me ask you this question, Ms. Cantway. There came a time when you signed over the pink slip to the car to your sister.
Yeah.
When was that?
I think that was probably about a month later, maybe.
A month later when? A month later in?
From the time that we signed the agreement.
So at the end of August?
Yes.
Now, could you explain to me why you signed over the pink slip to your
Because
sister?
at the time, I did not have a driver's license, and in order to insure the vehicle, it was extremely expensive. The insurance
What do you mean
company,
you didn't have a driver's license? You told me that you had a...
Yeah, I had a car, but that doesn't mean I drove it.
You told me that you had another car that you were driving.
I didn't drive it. I had another car.
Why weren't you driving it?
I didn't have a license.
Why not?
I made a mistake. Something I had to pay for. Has nothing to do with the situation of why I don't have my Tercel now.
If it has anything to do with drinking, it has to do with the situation, because your sister says part of the problem was you're drinking, driving at the same time, and that the altercation that you had that resulted in you say you getting assaulted had to do with her trying to protect you and your children. So what I'm asking you is, you said you'd made a mistake that had anything to do with a DUI that you received.
Yes, ma'am, it did have to do with a DUI.
Okay. So at the time that you gave her the pink slip for the car, that allowed her to put the car in her name.
For insurance purposes.
No. No. That's prima facie evidence of a gift. If you turn over the pink slip, it says that you are now the owner of the car.
I thought I was getting a loan.
But you didn't get the loan.
I didn't get a loan. I gave her time to give me the money. She's supposedly getting a settlement. I needed the money to pay my attorney. She never got a settlement. I never got any money. So I was without my vehicle and without a loan.
So are you telling me, but for the fact that this transaction never took place, you would have sold her your car for $600?
No, collateral.
Well, let us say that she never gave you the money.
Which never happened.
You never took your collateral back because you had already
tried.
Right.
I tried.
Okay, now let's move on. Let's move on to this assault that you allege.
July 4th, my sister I knew was going to the Baptist church with my mother for the fireworks show, so I called and said that I was going to come and use the car in order to take my children to the fireworks. I received a phone call back that I am not allowed to use the car unless I ask nicely. So I drove over to the house to find out what was wrong, what was going on. We ended up getting into an argument about the agreement, about the car. She grabbed her keys, grabbed her purse, and went down the stairs to get into the vehicle. I sat in the passenger seat, and I turned it off. I said, you're going to...
No, just a minute. She ran downstairs, and you followed her.
I walked downstairs, followed her, yes.
Go ahead.
I turned off the ignition. As I did that, she reached over, grabbed my hand, scratched up my hand right here. I threw the keys out the window as kind of just a response to being grabbed. She started to claw at me. I threw up my hands, grabbed her wrists, and asked her to stop. What are you doing, is what I said.
Okay, Miss Tyler, I'll hear you.
When we did the agreement, I was the one that did that. I said, Serena, I want to give you something for the car. She said, look, I'll sign over the pink slip. I really don't want the money. But I went ahead and did that anyway.
No, that's not what happened, Miss Tyler. Just pay careful attention to me. That's not what happened. Not unless you can show me that the pink slip to the car was signed over on July 30th.
This was signed over on September the 14th.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Right.
So it wasn't signed over on July 30th. Well, let's get your story together.
Okay. So anyway.
Now let's start from the beginning so that you can hopefully get your story together properly. Your best defense is the truth. I want you to understand that.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
She got really belligerent with me and said something about my son who was brutally murdered 5 years ago. And she started punching on me, and then she threw the keys out the window.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Serena Cantway says she used her car as collateral for a loan from her sister, Suzanne Tyler. Serena says the loan never happened and Suzanne won't return the car. Serena also claims Suzanne assaulted her.
You signed this piece of paper.
Right.
You signed it.
Right.
This piece of paper says You're getting this car as collateral towards a loan for $600 in which I will repay her at $25 a month. That's what this says.
Oh, that is not the one. I don't have a copy of that.
Really? Oh, show this
no,
to her. I'm
I don't.
sorry.
I don't.
Show that to
Your
her,
Honor.
please. Do you have that?
This is not the one, Serena.
Oh, wait, do you have...
No, I don't have a copy of this.
No, not, do you have a copy of any agreement that you signed?
No.
Okay, but you never signed that?
No.
Good. Can I have it, please?
That is the agreement, Your Honor.
Okay. I
There
don't
is
know
no
that
other
at all.
agreement.
I don't know that at all. Go ahead.
So on September the 14th, my sister signed over the title of the car.
Tell me about the conversation that you had with her.
I did tell her I did want to give her some money for the car. This was before she signed this over. I said, I don't feel right about it. But she said, don't worry about it. Mom got the car for me, and it's like a family heirloom. I'm going to pass it down to you.
That's not true.
Okay. Can I see the pink slip?
I've
Can I see
never called the
title?
car a family heirloom.
Go ahead.
So then after this, I was always driving her kids around because she had 2 DUIs. So I was doing that for her. And then I think it was a few months after that, Serena had mentioned that she was behind on her Camaro payments. And so it was not too long after that that she totaled the Camaro. And
I didn't total the Camaro.
Yes, you did, Serena.
Ms. Tyler, just talk to me.
She told the Camaro she didn't have any insurance. The car was going to be repossessed. So she hid the car in the garage for 3 weeks. And she went down and she got an insurance company to insure the car. When her boyfriend got back from Spain, they went and they told the insurance company that he was the one that was driving it, so she
Your
wouldn't
Honor.
get in trouble because she didn't have a license. So then
I was
she
filing
made
bankruptcy. I'm sorry, but I was going to lose the car. I did not wreck it.
Go ahead.
Ma'am, okay. Then after this, it was like a few weeks after that, her and her girlfriend came up to the house.
You're talking about the incident in July?
No,
July
ma'am.
4th?
She's talking.
This was in the spring of 2002 when she wrecked the Camaro.
Okay, she wrecked the Camaro.
Right,
Go
and
ahead.
it was like 2 weeks after that. I was sitting on the front porch, and her and her friend came over, and a friend of hers was outside talking to me, and Serena went in the house, and she said, you need to give the car back to Serena. And I said, what are you talking about?
And what did you do to her?
And I said,
Miss
what are you...
Cantway,
I'm sorry,
I don't
ma'am.
want to hear you.
I'm sorry, ma'am.
I said, I says, what are you talking about? And she says, you need to give that car back to Serena. And I says, this is an agreement between me and Serena. It's really none of your business. And I asked her to leave. And then she got really belligerent with me and said something about my son who was brutally murdered 5 years ago. So I called the cops and asked her to please leave.
Who said that to you, the friend?
Yeah, her
Okay,
friend of
a
hers.
friend. Keep going.
So then I asked, Serena was there, and I came out. I said, Serena, what is... I called the cops because I said, you got to get this woman off my property.
Okay.
So then I told Serena, I says, what is the deal with the car?
Don't interrupt her.
I'm not interrupting.
She didn't
I was raising
interrupt.
my hand.
No. She didn't interrupt you while you were testifying.
Yes.
When she did once, I told her to be quiet, and she waited. That's what I'm telling you. Do you
Okay.
understand?
Yes.
I don't have to say it again. It irritates me to be irritated.
I'm sorry to irritate you.
Good.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Serena Catway says she used her car as collateral for a loan from her sister, Suzanne Tyler. Serena says the loan never happened and Suzanne won't return the car. Serena also claims Suzanne assaulted her.
Keep going.
So then I confronted Serena because she was there, and I said, what is the deal with the car? What is this about this contract that you're talking about? And she says, well, I was using that against Scott in case he wanted to get his hands on the car. And I'm going, what are you talking about? And I want the car back after you get your settlement. And I'm thinking, and I told Serena, I says, well, Serena, I don't know why you...
What settlement, Ms. Tyler, is she talking about?
Because I have a workman's comp settlement. I broke my neck, and I'm still recovering from that.
Would you tell me, please, what happened on the 4th of July of 2002?
Yes, Serena wanted to borrow the car, and she had borrowed the car 5 days in a row because I know she was out of vehicle, and I was trying to do the nice thing for her.
And you had your driver's license back at that time?
Yes, she did get it back. Yeah. So, but during that week, she had, I know this for a fact because she left the house and she drove the car twice drunk, and she let somebody else drive the car. So, and during that evening on the 3rd, I was sitting on the porch with family members. They were concerned. They said, you're going to have to not let Serena drive the car. So I said, well, I know this is going to be a problem. So the next day when she asked me to use the car, I said, honey, I got errands to run, I said, I'll try to arrange a ride for you, and we'll try to see what we can work out. Well, then she came over shortly after our conversation on the phone, extremely upset with me, yelling and screaming. I said, Serena, quit yelling at me. And then she brought up the contract, the $600. She kept it up, and I said, I've got to get away from here. So I grabbed my keys, and I began to go down the stairs. She followed me. She got in the car. She grabbed the keys. We were like this, and she started punching on me, and then she threw the keys out the window. And then when I waited, I had a second set of keys. When she went back upstairs, I got in the car, rolled up the windows, and I took off, and I went to my cousin's house. And I left town. I left town the following week because I got tired of the abuse, and I moved to Napa.
Miss Cantway, I'm certainly hearing two diverse stories.
I see that, yeah.
My job is made very easy by the fact that neither of you dispute the fact that you signed over the pink slip to this car, not conditionally, not as a lien holder, but for all purposes to your sister. If you had signed it over to her and been a lien holder for $600, because that was the condition of giving it to her, that she would pay you $600 or give you $600, there would have been a lien on the car for $600.
Yeah.
But you did not. You signed it over so that she is now the owner of that car.
Yep.
So your lawsuit with regard to the return of the car is dismissed. With regard to the assault, since I find that this was her car and you had absolutely no right to get into her car, to pull the keys out of the ignition, to stop the car.
Your Honor.
I'm speaking. She says it's because you had either let someone else drive the car or
nobody else
family
drove the
I'm
car.
speaking, or people told her that you were driving the car while you were intoxicated. And if it's her car in her name, she is liable for anything that happens to the car. In any event, you had no right to get into the car, pull the ignition keys out, toss them out, and if she scratched your hand at the time that you were struggling over the car keys, she has a right to do that.
Yes.
Because it's her car.
I had driven the car drunk, Your Honor.
No, it doesn't make any difference.
I took the dog to the vet to be put down, and I picked his daughter up from school.
Let's say you weren't driving the car drunk. You still have absolutely no right to get into her car and touch her property, and she has the right to use whatever force is necessary to get your hands off the ignition keys. And if she scratched your hand while she was doing it, she scratched your hand. That's it. I mean, it's certainly very sad
She
that...
neglected to mention to you what she did to the other girl who was supposedly so belligerent at her house. The other girl mentioned, why don't you give the vehicle back to Serena? It is her car. You know what she did to that girl? She grabbed her by the bottom of her neck and scratched her all the way up to her ears.
Now, if this person that you brought to the house said something to her about her child who was murdered in
No,
the course
they
of
said
in the
nothing
course,
about that.
You were
they would
inside.
not
You
do
were
that.
inside. You were not outside.
I
when
was
that
outside.
No, I don't. Miss Cantway,
the porch.
I don't
right
believe
there.
a whole lot of what you're telling me. What I do believe is that you gave your sister your car because you had another car. You had no use to have for this second car. You had a newer car.
I wish
the
I was
newer.
that
I'm
rich.
speaking. The newer car got repossessed. You said, I want my car back. She said, I'm not giving you your car back. She said, but I'll share it with you. I'll share it with you. You use it when you need it, and I'll use it when I need it. And then you had an argument.
No.
And you want a court to resolve it as a family dispute. I don't tend to do that. Case is dismissed. That's all.
Oh, no excuse. You're going to step out.
He's got a lot of animosity to me, and it really hurts my feelings, and I wish it didn't have to come to this.
I just found out the blood's not thicker than water.
She was demanding and wanted it back, and it wasn't just going to work out that way for her this time.
According to her, I'm the spoiled one that gets her way all the time. Well, obviously not, huh?
Maybe somewhere down the road we can settle it.
This is case number 439 on the calendar in the matter of Elite Limousine versus Armstrong. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Folks, have seats.
Who's going to speak on behalf of Elite Limousine?
I will.
Good. Tell me your name.
I'm Deborah Williams.
Well, it's an interesting case. You provided limousine service for the defendant's wedding, picked up the defendant, and I assume the wedding party at the church and took them to where they had to go. Your bill for the evening was $795, something like that.
Yes,
Is that right?
Yes, ma'am.
The defendant refuses to pay. The defendant says that it was very nice of you to send the limousine. She never hired you. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. When were you married?
October 26th.
Where?
At Zor United Methodist Church in Greer, South Carolina.
How big is this town in Carolina?
It's not a very big town.
How many churches are there?
Probably 30.
Was this on a Sunday?
It was a Saturday.
Is it your experience that all 30 churches, or most of them, have weddings on Saturdays?
Usually, yes, ma'am.
Booked a lot in advance, right?
फुल जोर से 1 and done. ये जाएगी या नहीं जाएगी? जाएगी ये, कुछ नहीं गई। Wow. कैसा लगा? Wow. Yes, yes. 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 Takla. Wow. Yes. No, no. Yeah. So nice, baby. That's great. अच्छा. Wow. That's great. So cute, baby. Nice, baby. This baby cute. This kisses and right now.